Amanda.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Spy Family, Season 2, Episode 5. I'd like to make a bet with you, Anna.
Okay.
I'm going to be on whatever the opposite side of your answer is for the sake of stakes. Do you think this episode is going to focus on the ending of last episode? For any normal anime, I would say, yeah, for sure. Definitely. How could it not? But it being Spy Family, sometimes there's a whimsical nature to the, through line of episodes.
Great question here. I'm gonna say no.
You're gonna say no? That is shocking to me.
I just feel like
Audio.
I can never predict what Spy Family is going to do within each episode and what kind of segments it's going to have or include, which characters it's going to focus on, whether it's going to have a lighthearted moment or be a little bit deeper in the narrative of spy and assassin and telepath.
Okay. To make it okay, so here I am pretty confident that I'm gonna win, to be honest. That being said, if the first, I guess, like A plot, right, is not yours follow through with the ending of last episode and it's the B plot, I lose then. It has to be the A plot, the first plot of the episode.
It has to be the A plot.
Yeah. You ready?
Okay.
Sweet. Okay, that was Spy Family, Season 2, Episode 5. This has been my favorite episode the entire season, and it sets itself up to be a couple more episodes that I'm
really
gonna
glad
love.
You were right. I'm really glad that the bet that we did in the intro before watching this episode, that you were the one that was right. I just didn't want to get my expectations set up to be that we were actually going to explore Garden or the Assassins or Yor's work anymore. I really had left that episode thinking that we were just going to be getting this little blip of it and desiring more, but it was like a breadcrumb trail and we were only going to get it sometime later in the future, revisit it. I did not expect that we would actually get it, and I think honestly that's perfect, because if you want to properly subvert expectations, you have to lead someone to believe that something won't happen and then give it to them when they especially want it.
So obviously the idea of me even suggesting that we pick a side, I think in theory was a little goofy because of how obvious it should have been that we'd follow up, but because of the nature of the show, you never know what's going to happen. That being said, this has exceeded all of my expectations. I thought that, okay, if we go forward with it, we're going to have a mission from Yor. I had no idea in my mind or expectation that we were going to be introduced to a character like the shopkeeper. I had no idea it was going to go that deep.
And he was going to have some type of necklace and or eyeglass holder. We only saw really a close-up of the actual thorns dangling, so I don't know what it was hanging from. Maybe the hat string? Yeah, I think it's
it looks
the
like the hat
string. I absolutely love this idea. You brought up during the show, wondering what the other Assassins and Gardens code names are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, don't they all have to be either a flower that's able to protect itself through some type of evolution of whether it's poisonous or it has thorns, or does it all have to be rose themed if we have this symbol of the thorn also on this other person when she's Thorn Princess?
Yeah.
But I really love that idea of she is the protector of the beauty.
Yeah.
And the thorn is what protects the rose from getting plucked.
I want to meet the petal prince,
The petal prince.
Yeah.
I
King
like
Stem. I don't know. I this is so interesting to me, man.
She's the only one. I like that they haven't said Garden in this episode, and they haven't completely told us for sure that she's a part of that group.
There was one interaction regarding Garden and what you're talking about that really had me surprised. And that was I think her name is Olka. suggesting that I guess you really are one of them. And then yours like, huh? Yes. One of who? Like that makes me like assume that Olka's talking about Garden and that Thorn Princess Yor is a member of Garden, but
Mm.
it makes me wonder if Yor doesn't
Does
even know
Yor
what she's.
even know what she's a part of? Like, you had brought up that Yor uses the word evildoer before we got the OP. And so then during the OP, like, we both had time to like think about kind of how simple it is in terms of phrasing what is actually very complex as political conflict, or conflict between two places, two groups of people, how actually complex those issues are, that it's not just evil doer, good person,
Yeah.
hero. It doesn't actually ever really exist as concretely simple as that, and how it mirrors Yuri, and how he is starting to realize that there is more nuance there, and that he really wants to protect this world for his sister, and he would never have to do anything bad, right, to protect his sister, because protecting his sister would mean that everything he did would be good.
Yeah.
And there's some both siblings have I think maybe in their own way a very pure way of looking at good and evil, a very like their whole heart is open in wanting to protect these people.
But it's like a very simple way, right? I think that Yuri's understanding of like the interpolitical issues is probably a little more nuanced than yours is,
Mm-hmm, definitely.
but his like reason, or what the reason that we've been given from Yuri, I think took a different direction this
Mm-hmm.
episode, because the idea of Yuri being like, I'm going to protect my family, or I'm going to protect Yor is a great one, but where Yor had the goal of being able to provide for Yuri. Earlier in the episode, we got the plot point of Yor realizing that
She doesn't
Yuri
have to.
takes care of himself now.
Mm-hmm.
He makes his own income, he has his own job, and that release of pressure makes her question like, oh well, I might not have to do this anymore. And then I'm like, okay, you don't have to do this anymore, that's a great independent decision or thought to come to, but what next? What would make you happy? And immediately like it's like that gap is filled in with family, this
Mm-hmm.
fake family, right, which is then brought up multiple times throughout the
Of
rest of
like,
the
oh, I
episode.
thought it was your cover family.
Yeah.
But I think that this kind of conversation is something that is gonna definitely be further explored in terms of like one of who, and in terms of it, it being possible that either Yor doesn't know the bigger picture of what she's a part of, and or she is a bottom tier, not even a part of the actual elite. Like, what
Mm.
if there are these elite assassins of Garden, and they this mission is actually beneath what they would actually be doing, and they might be doing things that are even bigger fish to fry, if you will. This is a personal favor for the shopkeeper, really. So it could be that Yor's not even actually, it could be that there's a difference in terms of tier and level.
Could be, but if it's a personal favor, I would think that they'd get the most capable.
Yeah,
And I
I could see that too, but I could also see like, oh, I can't necessarily use company money to send the top assassin that needs to be keeping the fabric of this nation together to go protect my dead friend's wife. But Yor's pretty capable, and I did some garden shear test with her,
yeah,
and
interesting. I could also see like throughout the next episode, or hopefully too, I'm really enjoying this
mm-hmm,
like cruise ship arc uh with interactions with like the big bads, or the people trying to assassinate Olka. I think that Yor could hear dialogue from those assassins being like, oh, this is what a member of Garden is like. It could
mm-hmm.
give her exposition that she doesn't have.
And I think that what she will be seeing when she's having these interactions is other examples of assassins, but assassins that are to her in this situation evil. I am a little bit worried that she has purposefully been kept rather naive. But part of me is like, it's kind of her personality.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know if it's on purpose, especially when we talked about the fact that she joined this and became an assassin when she was younger and she was in need
Well,
of being able to care for her brother.
do you think she'd be able to leave? I think that
But
that's a
that is a
really
really
good,
great question too.
yeah, because
A
like
part of a secret organization, but she has been kept rather in the dark. So
I think that that's connected to like being naive and simple, right? Like are you being kept like naive and away from information, or are you?
mhm.
Like, because if you are, then you probably have a bit of a higher chance of leeway in terms of leaving this behind.
She was allowed to have this fake family.
Yeah, which was a reveal in of itself.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite moments this episode, weirdly enough, was hearing Yor's coworkers introduce her as Forger. I was like, this is amazing. I know that they're like husband wife fake family, but like I just love it. I love it so much. I think that the introduction of Graham and Olka being the people that Yor are protecting is going to be massively significant in her own view of her role as being Anya's mother.
Mm-hmm. I find what they're doing to be pretty cool in terms of bringing up a very modern uh, issue that a lot of like real people deal with when they start or have a family, which is that desire to be able to be with your family more. Especially if you had kids, I'm sure you don't want to miss a second. You
Yeah.
want to be able to be at all of their games, and maybe work won't allow you to be able to be there consistently with them for every little moment. And so it was a very like modern, current, relatable issue for Yor to have as this new role of she is the mother of the Forger family.
Yeah.
She is Anya's mother and she is the wife to Lloyd. And for her to be enjoying being that person, being your Forger, and then getting her being called Forger in this episode,
Mhm.
that is who she enjoys being, is your Forger.
Yeah.
That's what's making her happy every day. And I like seeing something that's relatable and real and modern with the twist of the fact that she's an assassin.
Yeah. I when she was checking the room like herself, first of all, love it. Like the idea that she's like, I know
You
that people already
gotta.
checked this, but I need to do my own
But
personal
then they do
checks.
that, and then what do they show us later in the episode? She didn't do the checks on chairs.
Yeah. But I that made me think like, okay, Yor is like doing these checks and she's completely focused right now. What happens if anything comes to pass that Yor would have to make the decision between protecting Olka and Graham or protecting Lloyd and Anya? Like what would she
Job and
choose?
family.
That's a hard thing that's a hard like I think because she probably assumes she is more physically capable than Lloyd because of the lack of knowledge of who he
Mm-hmm.
really is, that she would feel like she could be the only person to help them out in a
I
situation.
would feel like Yor would desire to try to be able to do both, and if
Yeah.
it sacrificed herself, she'd be okay with that. But what I would say is if they ever did put her in that situation in this current context,
Hmm.
I would have to say that the character of Olka or Shati at this point would probably tell her to go save her family.
Yeah.
If it was like she's seeing something about to fall on top of Lloyd and Anya, the assassins are about to catch up to Graham and Olka over here, Olka would probably be like, "That's your freaking family." And Olka saw the face that Yor made when she was like, "Isn't this your pretend family?"
Yeah.
And Yor was kind of like, "Oh,
She
yeah."
not even just making a face. Yor was like, "Is it my
Is
pretend
it? She
family?"
literally said,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that if Yor was ever actually put into that position,
Hmm.
she wouldn't be forced to, on her own, make that decision. She would be given a nudge that it was okay
Gotcha.
to choose her family by the person that she would be directly, I guess, putting in harm's way by choosing that.
I absolutely love the shopkeeper's design. He's so fucking cool, dude. I'm Are you surprised at all that there's no like I guess connection in what the handler wants from Lloyd here?
I was a little bit surprised that it wasn't just that it wasn't just that something about shady work hours and the HR's mad or something, I don't know, and you should go on a vacation. I find that hard to believe because I would have thought that it would have been like as Anya said, kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
That would also be the situation for Lloyd, which he does start to think about how it could be, how he could make use of being on this ship, how he should make sure he knows where everything is located, who's on the like list of passengers.
I think that narratively it sets itself, like the story sets itself up here for such a funny dynamic with Lloyd and what's going to be happening with Yor and other assassins. Like I can imagine like real shit going down in front of him, whether it's like, oh, this person just hit a bug somewhere, like all the way up to a fist fight breaking out like between assassins and Lloyd having to be like, no, I'm just imagining things, that's just, that's just the my brain getting the better of me, I have to relax.
So I could also see he would want to protect his family on this vacation. He's like, Yor has this business thing that she's doing that's really important. Anya's here. If he noticed anyone doing anything shady, he would probably either deal with them in his own way or keep a direct eye on them.
I imagine that he has to like stop himself from thinking that anybody's doing anything shady.
Right,
you know what I mean?
that line from Anya that's like, why does he think of everything as being suspicious?
And which is met with him reminding himself that his mission is to relax, which would propel him to be like, no, that's not somebody planning a bug. I'm sure I'm reading it wrong. I need to relax, I need to take a step back.
Which is probably perfect for Yor and her character in terms of hopefully protecting her identity from the other members of the Forger family if he's trying so hard to have a vacation. But I gotta say, forcing yourself to relax doesn't really work that well.
I don't know. I think that...
At least in for me, because I have a horrible time relaxing.
Well, it depends on what you're doing to relax, right? Especially if you're somebody like Lloyd who never relaxes. If you force yourself to, what did he say, go see a show with your daughter, and it's not like, oh, I want to relax right now, but you're still doing this. I think that doing that event with somebody like your daughter would, maybe the entire thing isn't relaxing, but I'm sure it's enjoyable, and that enjoyment's probably a bit relaxing.
And for someone like him, it could be an easier step to go watch a show versus go sit on a chair and look at the ocean.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Have your mind completely blank? No, thank you.
Yeah, relaxing isn't necessarily doing nothing. You can just you can go out and do something, and have fun along the way, even if you don't think you are in the right mindset to relax.
Yeah, and like if Anya won this raffle, we could take her to the game room and see if kids are allowed and see how she does in the game room.
I can't believe that's...
She'll get kicked out.
I was like,
you're reading cards. Get out of here.
I was so sure that they weren't going to go on the cruise. And the only way, like, I wouldn't have assumed that the shopkeeper would have arranged the family to go with her, like as the excuse. And
I thought it would be a good cover, like mom and her son with Yor and her family that also has a kid. Could seem like this big family vacay. We're all going on a ship together. Maybe a better cover.
Yeah, but it could get in front of the mission, right? It could get in the way of it. And because of that, I was like, okay, they're not going, whatever. And then Anya has this like, I can't believe that happened. I can't believe that happened.
She really took this man's, like, even though he did a bad thing, he wanted to take his significant other, the woman he liked, on a cruise, and she liked him enough to agree to go and do this plan, even though she didn't want to go be on a boat. And that was ruined by Anya.
I think the shopkeeper inherently made a mistake to put this person on a cruise that a raffle exists for. Right? Well, I guess not. It doesn't really make a difference unless the person winning the ticket is a spy.
Well, anyone. I guess that what that would be is just there's a wild card that you might have not already known how to ticket.
Yeah.
Someone's getting a random ticket. Like, they probably searched and scanned in their own time the list of passengers, looking for commonly used code names by certain assassins on the enemy side. But dang, this is gonna be, if we don't continue back on the boat next episode, that'll definitely be a surprise.
Yeah.
I gotta compliment the bugging that we saw in this episode.
It was very
It
thorough.
was so brilliant to have this type of character who reminds me of like Elle from Death Note. That he's just sitting there with his head down, just his ears ready, and he's like listening to all these different voices from all these different mics and bugs across the ship, searching for code words or certain words of interest to be used. And I loved that idea.
I liked what little we got to see from his character design. I was worried
The
that I know.
spirally eyes.
Yeah, I was worried. I know it doesn't really make sense, but I was irrationally worried for a second that it was Yuri, even though that I knew that that's not a possibility.
Yeah,
But
Yuri did say that he has to go home and listen to transcripts.
yeah, exactly. That's what it was. But I'm excited.
I am too.
I love that. I love when Spy Family gives us like a little bit of,
More of the serious note.
yeah. Because I love the lighthearted nature of the show, but it has such a good and a great core
While
to
we
it.
love the lighthearted bits and we love getting more fun time of getting to know different characters across the board of the cast of Spy Family, the cast of characters, I think both of us continuously would want the story to continue moving forward and want the narrative to continue moving forward.
Yeah. And I didn't expect it, honestly. I didn't expect Yor to question whether or not she would want to continue being Thorn Princess in season 2. It's awesome. I don't know what conclusion she's going to come to, though, because part of me feels like because it's only season 2, it would have to be, okay, I'll continue it. And if that's not the case, or if that is the case, I'd wonder why she'd come to that conclusion. And if not, what would be the choice narratively? Are you you're kind of speeding things up
So
then?
I think that if you were to choose, I don't think that she can stop doing her job before she and Lloyd have some type of
Interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that she might actually realize that she does want to continue doing this work once she sees, in this episode specifically, they have her in the perfect place to have this debate internally, but also to decide that she wants to continue doing this work. Because she is going to see a visual representation of protecting a mother and her child, protecting a family, keeping them alive so they can stay together and be happy.
But wouldn't that push you to not be an assassin?
But it could also push you, it could also push you to continue to want to protect people and keep them safe. And if she sees that it doesn't interfere with her family having a happy vacation on the ship and that they're safe at the end of the day, I could see it also keeping her in this job. But what it does open up that I want to say before we cease talking about this is that having this line of dialogue opened at all is a great thing to have, because Lloyd is also a character where we're like, when Operation Strix is over, is he really going to be giving up this family?
Yeah.
And is he going to want to continue his work as a spy? And I think opening this line of dialogue up, it's easier to do it with Yor here, but it's a perfect plant to open up possible in the future for Lloyd.
I wonder how it would come about. All right, well, let's explore the ship before it sinks,
Is it gonna sink?
That's what
They
Anya
did show
said.
us the lifeboats.
Anya was like, yep, everybody here, the ship's going down at some point. Might as well appreciate it while it lasts. All right, you good?
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.